So why do black people personify themselves as violent people, and then in reality, as far as criminals go, the majority of criminals are black people? But then when a crime is committed against a black person, it's a racial crime. It's a racial, incident when a white man commits a crime against a black guy. I don't understand why the race card gets thrown in there all the time. I mean, the reason why Michael Brown got shot is not because he was a black man. It's because an incident took place. That's it. An incident could have taken place with a white man, and the white man could have got shot. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. Last year in Toronto, I'm from Toronto. Last year in Toronto, a man was standing on a streetcar with a knife, a small knife, okay? It was a little pocket knife. There was nobody else on the streetcar, and the police were called, and they were pointing guns at him, telling him to drop his weapon, drop his weapon, drop his weapon. He did not comply. I don't know if he was under the influence of something or on drugs or something. This happened quite a while ago. I don't remember all the details. But needless to say, one of the officers ended up shooting this man. Now, this man got shot. He went down. And for some reason, unbeknownst to anyone, this officer continued to shoot his weapon at this man, and he killed him. I think he shot him a total of 5 times, maybe 6. And, there was a huge outrage. But the man was white. The cop was white, and there was no mention of this man being white in the news, in the social media, anywhere whatsoever. It didn't matter that he was white, because it was a white man shooting a white man. But if a white man shoots a black man, everybody's got to know that it was a black man that got shot, because it's automatically assumed by the general public of that community that it was a racial hate crime, and not because there was an incident that caused the officer to shoot him. Now, one of the reports that I heard is that there was a fight, there was a struggle. Michael Brown was reaching for the officer's gun. He was hitting the officer in the face. The officer responded by shooting him and essentially killed him. A report I heard or I read said that the officer did have to go to hospital and have facial injuries tended to. Which brings me back to the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman case where, he was basically acquitted due to self-defense. And that was because there was images shown where he had lacerations on his head and bruises on his face that signified that he was in a fight and he was under attack. There was a witness that apparently saw the struggle outside of their window and stated that Trayvon Martin was on top, throwing punches down onto George Zimmerman. Based on those 2 reasons, the jury acquitted George Zimmerman on the count of self-defense. And this, in my opinion, the whole Michael Brown thing ties into that as well. However, I don't know for sure. But the fact is, Michael Brown's friend who was there and a few other witnesses who were in the area are all saying that this officer basically pulled out a gun and shot this man in cold blood in broad daylight. And personally, I think that just sounds like bullshit. I can't grasp that in my head that a police officer would do that. You know what I mean? Like in broad daylight with people around. It just, if you really think about it, like think about the logic behind that. There's really no logic at all behind that. There's no reason behind why that could even be a possibility. So obviously there was some sort of confrontation between Michael Brown and the police officer that led to Michael Brown being shot. And all I have to say about that is police officers are an authority in our society. We have no choice. We have to listen to them. We have to comply with what they say. That's how things are. If you mind the law and if you obey police officers, you will be fine. You will have no problems and you will be able to go on your merry way. And, the worst that might happen is you may be detained for a period of time while they clear your name if something comes up and you're a suspect. But that's about it. However, if you commit a crime and you're caught on video committing a crime and the police arrive within a few minutes of the crime happening, and then you confront the police officer in a violent or aggressive way, whether it's getting in his face, touching him, running, doesn't matter, that police officer has the right to invoke violence on you, whether it's I mean, he doesn't have the right to kill you. I'm just going to say that. Unless his life is in danger himself, he doesn't have the right to kill you. And what this officer did was wrong. And I don't want to say I'm condoning what he did. That's not this at all. The officer should not have pulled his gun out, okay? And if he did pull it out, he should have used it just to detain Michael Brown, and that's it. A taser at most should have been used. So I'm not saying that that was right. All I'm saying is something more than what these people are attesting to happened, because this police officer did not go driving through that city looking for a random black guy to kill that day. That did not happen. I don't care what anybody says, that did not happen. So people got to stop playing the race card and start blaming who was really at fault here, okay? Was the police officer at fault for causing this incident, or was Michael Brown at fault for causing this incident? If Michael Brown didn't rob the convenience store, if he didn't assault the convenience store clerk, and if he didn't assault the police officer or argue with the police officer or get in the officer's face or whatever may have happened, then he would still be alive today. So yes, we can blame the police officer for the murder, but you also got to put some blame onto what really caused the whole scenario to go down. So the last thing I want to touch on, and I know this video is going to be a two-parter, I know it, or maybe even a three-parter, I don't know. But the last thing I want to touch on, because I covered the media thing, I covered the entertainment thing with the rap music, but personal experiences too are something that can easily cloud our judgment when it comes to dealing with other races. For example, a young black boy in a public school, let's say he's 8 or 9 years old, and let's say some white kids start calling him the N-word, okay? And they're laughing at him maybe, and they're teasing him, and they're calling him the N-word. That could be a very scarring moment for a child, and something that sort of lives on in them forever, to the point where now they resent every and all white people because a few of them were insulting his race. He could be now a racist forever, for his entire life, based on one personal experience. Would he be? Maybe. Chances are he'd probably have some sort of resentment towards white people. Maybe he'd be cautious of white people, or maybe secretly think that all white people are racist in some way or another. I don't know. But the bottom line is people have personal experiences that can, cloud their judgment of a whole entire race. And I'm going to share a few of my experiences with you right now, because I have experiences that, regarding African American people that basically, in my opinion, make it seem like I really shouldn't trust them or be friends with them or anything like that. But I'm not like that. I don't judge people, as a race. I judge them as individuals. But here's my examples. So going back some time now to 8th grade. So me and my friend Matt, we're the school day is over, and we're walking down the hall, and we're about to go to his place to play some video games. GoldenEye to be exact. So anyway, we're walking down the hallway, and there's a African American student by the name of Nyron who had a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a bully. I didn't really know him too much. He was in another class. I was new to that school, so I didn't really know him that well. But from hearing things from the other students, he was the kind of guy you just kind of wanted to stay away from. He had a reputation. Let's just say that. So anyways, we're walking down the hall, and my friend Matt bumps into Nyron, and it was just a bump. There's a bunch of people in the hallway, so it was kind of crowded. So they bumped into each other. So what does Nyron do? He turns around, he grabs Matt by the throat, shoves him up against the locker, slaps him across the face so loud that people stopped, turned around, and jaws dropped. He walked away. Matt, rubbed his face. I was like, hey, man, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm fine. Just, let it slide kind of thing. And I was like, holy shit. But I've never seen a white person do that before. I've never seen that type of confrontation before. Like, I've bumped into people before. People bumped into me. It's mostly like, oh, sorry, man, my bad. Nobody grabs somebody by the throat and slaps them in the face. Okay? Now, I'm going to fast forward to the next year in 9th grade, my first year of high school. I'm in gym class, and Nyron happened to be in my gym class. So we were playing basketball or whatever sport, I can't remember. But anyway, the class was over, so we're all in the change room afterwards, and we're getting changed back into our regular clothes out of our gym equipment or whatever. And I go to pick up my pants and I pick them up upside down by accident, and a bunch of change fell out of my pocket. Now, there was about 15 guys in my class, I would say, in the locker room at this time. And out of those 15, I say 2 of them were black guys, one of them being Niron. So all the change starts falling out onto the floor, and out of the 15 guys that were there, the one person that runs over and starts picking up my change and putting it in his own pocket was Niron. So it's painting a picture for me here. Like, out of 15 people, 13 of which are white, the only person that runs over and tries to steal my money right in front of me is a black guy. Like, how am I supposed to feel? How am I supposed to feel about black people after that? You know, I already watched this guy assault somebody in a hallway for little to no reason, and now he's trying to steal my money right in front of me. You know, so what? I mean, this is just one guy, obviously, and one person shouldn't be, you know, the spokesman for the entire race, but it goes a little further than that. So let's fast forward, you know, a few more years to a more recent time, probably like, what, say 5-6 years ago. I'm with a friend of mine, and she's African American, and we're hanging out, we're at the mall, and we're doing some shopping or whatever, and you know, we're going through a store. It's called the General Store. I don't know if you guys have the General Store in the United States or not, but basically it's a store where you can just buy a bunch of general things, trinkets, souvenirs, all kinds of stuff. But anyways, I'm looking around the store. I ended up not buying anything, but once we left, she started showing me things that she stole from the store. Little trinkets, necklaces, all kinds of stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing? I got so mad because basically, if she was caught, I would go down with her. I would be in just as much trouble as she was because I was with her. So I'd be an accomplice. No matter what, that's how it goes. That's the law. So I flipped out on her. I said, don't ever do that again, especially if anybody's with you, especially me. Don't ever do that again. I flipped out on her. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, I've been to the mall with several of my white friends several times, tons and tons of times. And the one time I go to the mall with my black friend, she fucking steals stuff. What the fuck? Now, this same girl, I mean, she's not poor or anything like that. Like, I lived on a street that had a bunch of average houses, middle class houses, and then around the corner there was a big hill with a bunch of really large houses. I wouldn't call them mansions, but large houses, and she lived at the top of this hill. Now, she lived in a big house. Her family was well off. You know, her parents drove nice cars, Mercedes and stuff like that. She didn't need to be stealing anything. She did it just for kicks. Now, to me, that's not even committing a crime out of desperation. That's committing a crime just to be a criminal. And I don't know any white people that would do that. So, or have done that. So the image that's being painted to me from my personal experiences is that black people are aggressive, black people steal things, and black people don't give a shit about authority or respect or anything like that. Now, I mean, there's a few other examples that I can give you, you know, but I think I'm just going to end it there because I don't want to, I mean, I think I'm coming across as a racist, and that's not the case at all. I don't have many black friends at all. I do have maybe 1 or 2 black friends that I hang out with once in a while. And there's a couple black guys at my work who I talk to pretty much on a daily basis, but we're not, you know, I wouldn't say we're friends. We don't hang out outside of work and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't judge them all like this. But as a race, I have to, you know, there's no denying that when I think of, you know, who is the most criminal race, I have to associate it with black people. And I'm not the only one. Like I pointed out, the studies show that the majority of people feel the same way. And the statistics show that it's mostly true. So, is it really fair to play the race card when a black man is shot by a white guy? The answer is no. So, I know my video is not going to go far. I mean, this video might be seen by a few people, you know. I don't have, you know, I have a small follower count, and there's not many people that watch my videos, and that's okay. But I still feel like I should get this message out and share, the fact that, it's just not fair to constantly play the race card when there's more severe things that are to be blamed for the situation, okay? Anyways, I guess I'm just gonna wrap this up here. I think I've said all that I wanted to say, and all I can say is, we do it to ourselves. And if you're a black person and you feel like you're being harassed by police often, it's not because you're a black person per se. It's because as a black person and your race in general painted a bad picture of themselves over the past however many years through crime and through entertainment and through media and all these sorts of things. You can't blame white people for that. If a white man confronts a black man or defends themselves against a black man or anything like that, it is not always a racial hate crime. It can be, and sometimes it is, but not all the time, especially in the case of a police officer gunning down a man. I mean, police officers, yeah, sure, they can be racist, they can be biased, they can be prejudiced, all that kind of stuff, but they're trained not to be. So just like a judge, they're trained not to be judgmental. It kind of sounds like it doesn't make sense, but that's what they're trained not to be. They're trained not to judge a book by its cover. They're trained to look at the facts, see a situation how it is, and act accordingly based on the facts. Anyways, guys, if you guys stuck through this whole thing, I'm probably gonna divide this. Video's been going. I've been talking for fucking almost an hour. Holy shit, 47 minutes. Probably gonna divide this video into like 3 parts, 4 parts maybe. So if you watch this whole thing, I applaud you. Thank you for sticking with me. If you have any comments, please leave them below. If you're gonna rip on me for anything I've said here, feel free to do so, but you might just get blocked because I don't feel like I was unfair or unjust with anything I said. If you feel I was, sure, let me know, and I'll do my best to compensate. Like I said, I didn't want to offend anybody, but there's a chance I might have. I did say a lot of racially discriminative type things, centered people out sort of thing. But anyways, guys, I'm ending this here, so I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope the family gets the justice that they deserve, and I hope the officer does get punished for using his weapon against an unarmed man. I do not condone that. I want to just state that again. I do not condone his actions, and yeah, that's it. So rest in peace, Michael Brown. Peace out.